Good morning, everyone. I am so sorry that I am having some technical difficulties this morning with playing the introduction to the show and the commercial and the opener. My videos are not working. So I'm going to go straight into the show. This is Stacy Braiuca, and this is Show Me Your Nuts on the Breakthrough Show Network. And, you know, Techxiety girl here today's got tech issues. So I'm just going to roll with it. Um, Today's show is about lessons from the journey from the last 5 weeks or so, where we've been talking about change. We've been talking about so the first 6 weeks of the show we talked about waking up to change. The second, we've also been talking about different aspects of change. Last week we talked about micro commitments and how changing little small things actually change the big things. So today we're kind of just going back through the last couple of weeks and seeing what stuck, what didn't stick, what we want to do next. So, and I happen to be lucky and have a surprise guest waiting in the wings. So, I'm not sure why my hypno voice is coming through, but I may, and if I inadvertently hypnotize you today, that would be why. So, I'm excited to be here, but a little bit flustered and everywhere today. So please forgive me. That's, just how things happen sometimes, right? So we've been doing a lot of work on change. We've been doing work, but are we actually changing? So this talking about this weeks 6 through 11, it's not just a review of information. It's a review so that we have integration of the things we've been working on. It's so we can integrate, so we can go on to our next, so we can level up next week. And it's everybody's going to take things, you kind of take things as you take the things that fit for you, leave the things that don't. In fact, I'd suggest in life, no matter what we're doing, we should take the things that fit for us. And it's okay to leave aside the things that don't, because not everything fits for us at any given time, and not everything fits for people, for all people. If it did, it'd be boring. If we were all the same and we all tried on the same, we might as well just wear the same uniform and cut our hair the same and be the same and be little robots, but we're not, thankfully. So as we do, I'm going to say I'm going to see if if my little videos will play next. But we're going to talk about how charged are your nuts as we do. And it's looking like my videos are not playing. So we're not going to do videos today. And that also means I'm not going to have a little video snippet before my next guest. So when I do bring them on, I'm just going to poof, magically bring them onto the stage. I'm just going to wave a magic wand. I don't even have one of those. Oh, what a morning. What a morning. How charged are your nuts, though? So for everybody in the comments, let me know on a scale of 1 acorn to 10 surprised guests, how much are you actually applying anything that you have learned this year from anywhere, not just here? How many lessons in life are you applying to life that you have learned? Kind of do a little bit of like an idea of knowing versus doing. you can know things, but then you choose to do them or not do them. And there's good reason to choose to do, and there's good reason to choose to not do sometimes. Sometimes you find out the knowing and you're like, I ain't doing that. And other times you're like, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna do what our friend Jamie Rich calls an experiment and see what emerges. That's a favorite line from him. So, what is it are you knowing or doing or both? No, the video, oh, it did start to play. The video did start to play. It's not showing on my side, Jessica. I do not know. Cuz like it told me that the video wasn't playing, so I figured that I wasn't playing at all. I will try that again right before I bring my guest on and play that video. Thank you for being there. Our amazing producer, Miss Jessica Dugas, the infamous of the Breakthrough Show, infamous queen of the Breakthrough Show Network. So speaking of doing versus knowing, she is the doing queen. She knows lots of things, but then she does. She chooses what to then do. It exemplifies that. Exemplifies it. I'm not sure what you want me to throw, but if you want me to throw the nuts, the guest in the back room, or the videos. But Jessica says I might need to throw it. I don't know if it's the computer, the studio, or what that I get to throw. Although I don't want to break anything, so I'm switching back and forth. I'm scattered this morning, y'all. The Squirrel Wrangler is squirreling, and that's just the way it is today. So, all right. So, barring any information from showing me your 1 acorn to 10 surprise guests, what you're actually applying versus what you've learned, knowing versus doing. So, I'll throw in my knowing versus doing that I did yesterday. I did 2 things. Well, I did a bunch of stuff, but 2 of the things that I'm excited that I did was I know how to do hypnosis for folks. I had not been doing it in quite some time, which is kind of a shame because I actually did a killer hypnosis session for a colleague yesterday. And when they got done, they said, I'm going to need to go take a nap now. So apparently either it was a good thing or a bad thing. I had put them to sleep. And the other thing I did that I hadn't done in a long time was I facilitated a group discussion of a group of women at a local restaurant last night through a program that I've joined and working with called Real Roots. And it's a group where people, they curate groups, gal groups is what they call them. And in physical locations, they curate them and for people that want to meet new people. And it was just a really cool thing to be able to have these group of 9 gals who, and I say gals because I think they use that as because it's anyone who identifies as female. And a group of 9 gals who had never met before. And we all met at this restaurant and had within 2 hours, we were all like, I mean, chattering like excited squirrels. It was really fun. It was really fun. So, we've got HC Doobie Doobie Doo in the chat. Welcome, HC. And since I'm welcoming you, I guess I'll just welcome you right on stage and play. Oh, I forgot to play the guest. I'm going to play the video while you're chewing. It's not, it said it's saying it's not playing the video. So there we go.
Saw it. I saw the video. I saw the video. I saw all your nuts.
I didn't see it. And so that, I'm back at the how charged are your nuts. I don't know. Something's wrong with my browser, I guess. So later when we close, I'll go ahead and play the actual videos that need to play at the end of this show. Welcome, Henry Cameron, special guest of the morning.
Thank you.
I am so excited to have you here.
Oh, good to be back.
We had not been able to catch up in general.
True.
And so why not catch up live on
in
Show
front
Me
of
Your
everybody. Hi, Jessica.
So speaking of knowing versus doing, what have you been knowing or doing lately?
Doobie doobie doo. I do it all. I've been I was sort of derailed from my process. It's kind of an interesting story. I had been on Facebook for 23 years. That's how old I am.
24, right?
Yes, exactly. And I got a message saying that somehow I had gone against their community standards. I was banished from the platform forever without the ability to appeal or to talk to a human being at all ever again. So I didn't quite know what to do with that because Facebook had always been my go-to, sort of the necessary evil.
Yeah.
But I had 20, that was my archive.
Yeah.
There are photographs of my son, videos of him that I will never see again. There are, posts that I would do on my Lost Travelers Club page, on my podcasting page, on my everything pages, my theater, that all gone forever. Good to see you, Jessica. Thank you. The other thing that really struck me was that every comment that I had ever made on anybody's post was scraped and gone forever. So it kind of reminded me of, you hear about in ancient times in Egypt, where if there was a new pharaoh that came to power and they didn't want anyone to remember the previous pharaoh, they would scrape all of their hieroglyphics off of the temple walls, so that they were erased from history. That's what it felt like. Not that I'm any kind of pharaoh, but it felt like I had been scraped from the walls of Facebook history. And I had a huge following there.
Yeah.
Over 5,000 people.
And I had seen at least one of those videos of your son. Yeah. I'm so glad that I'm so knowing your story.
Yeah.
And then the minute I heard that, one of the first feelings I had was, oh my God, at least I got to see that video before it was gone.
Well, I posted it every year. He passed in 2008. So it's been 18 years of me posting these videos of him and photos of him and remembering him. His 31st birthday, unconscionable, is coming up on April 16th. I call it Cameron's Feast. And Cameron's Feast is an international moment for anyone who's aware of Cameron, that he was here during the 13 years that he lived, to light a candle, sit down, and have your favorite food, because he was a real foodie. He wanted to be a food critic. Okay.
Wanted to be, I think he already was.
He totally was.
Yeah.
And, just to reflect on the fragility of life and the joy of the time that we have while we're here. And so it's really constantly about, for me, to answer your question, long answer to a short question, is applying daily the life skills that I have learned in the past 60 years. I'm going to be 60 on Earth Day in a few weeks.
Talk about lessons from the journey. That's our topic today. And you just brought it. I had no idea, we're just going to derail into talking about lessons from the journey.
From the journey.
Yeah.
You have to, none of Cameron, my son, used to say, Papa, nobody has an expiration date on the bottom of their foot. Nobody knows the day or the way, but we're all going to go someday. And it's not about how you die, it's about how you live. That's my boy. That's my joy.
Oh
And,
my gosh.
for 15 years, I was convinced that my joy had left with him.
Oh, I imagine.
And it's not that I'm not a happy person. Anybody who knows me knows I'm inherently a positive and happy person.
Yeah.
But happiness and joy are different for me. And the quality of joy that people find in their lives was eluding me for 15 years
Yeah.
until I had this epiphany that, wait a minute, because somebody would say to me, and people say all the time, I'm so sorry for your loss, right? I'm like, loss? Loss? What did I lose? He's not a set of keys or a pair of sunglasses.
No, you had a gift for a beautiful you had a gift here. He was here on this in this physical life with you for that period of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know that, of course, he's still with you all the time.
He lives in me and through me. And that is the big lesson, is that death, as we've been taught, is an illusion. It's not a thing. If you remember somebody, whether it's someone close to you or animo,
or
a distant ancestor, all of our ancestors, we all come from the same ancestor, right? They are alive in you and through you. And so that set me on a journey of amazing lessons.
Can I step backward just a hair? Could I ask a question about Cameron?
Anything.
And it may be something that we've talked about and I know already, but how old was he when he found out he was sick?
He was 11 when he was diagnosed with a rarer form of brain cancer in children, anaplastic astrocytoma, which was burned into my brain when I heard it for the first time. Anaplastic means that it grows very, very fast.
Right.
Astrocytes are a particular kind of cell that we have that are shaped like stars. They have little tendrils off of them. And toma means tumor. So he had a ball of fast growing stars in his head. And that's how he chose to hold it and look at it.
He was a shooting star.
And I see shooting stars all the time where I live in Spain. So I always say, hey, Cameron. But his visualization was that the crown of his head was opening up and all of these stars were pouring out and filling the sky.
Oh, wow.
That needs to be a book, a children's book.
So did he have that realization and that visualization early on from the diagnosis?
Oh yeah.
Like, what was he like before you guys found out that diagnosis?
No different. He was always sort of an observer. We're very much alike in personality. When I was a kid, we looked a lot.
I wonder how in the world he got that.
I know. No DNA test needed there. But he was curious and he was musical. He played violin and piano and sang like an angel. I mean, he was in 2 advanced choruses in school. He was extraordinary in a lot of ways, but I attribute that. Excuse me. Thank you. You agree. You didn't even meet him in person. That's my service dog, Animo, and he's very animated right now. I attribute some of it to the household that we created together. It's parenting, but it's also he was born with a certain quality. He came with it, and people recognize that in him since he was a baby. And he also was a Waldorf kid. He went to a Waldorf school, which is kind of a secret in the education world. Not many people know about it. Jessica,
I was going to say, I'm not sure if I know. So, can you tell the audience about that? Because I'm not even sure if I know that.
I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. It actually came out of theater, oddly enough.
That does not surprise me.
I know. Well, this guy named Rudolf Steiner, who was born in Austria in the 1800s, He was a young man at the end of the 19th century and into the and into the early 20th century. He died, I want to say, in 1924, 1925. So his work really started in the 1800s in Austria. And have you heard of theosophy? Theosophy was one of these, not a secret society, but a spiritualism society that
Mhm.
emerged in the late 19th century. Madame Blavatsky, there was all this sort of pondering, these very intellectual but spiritual movements that
Mhm.
explored the human connection to the
So,
divine.
and that was very indicative of that age.
Very much so.
Very indicative of, and very shut down. It got shut down
It did, big
very
time.
purposefully, ultimately, too.
Yeah. And so theosophy is the better known movement, one of the better known movements of that time. And theos meaning divine,
Mhm.
and Sophia meaning wisdom, theosophia, right? So it's
Okay.
the divine wisdom. And where is the human being in that picture, right? How do we tap into that divine wisdom? And
Mhm.
they were all about merging Eastern and Western philosophies of spirituality.
Uh-huh.
In fact, they believed that this young man in India named Krishnamurti was the second coming of Christ. They were convinced that he was the Messiah. He was back, and they thought that Rudolf Steiner was Saint John, who was
Okay.
like Jesus's best friend. And they were like, "Well, Jesus wouldn't have come back without his best buddy, his bestie, right? And it's you. Guess what? It's you." And he was like, "I don't think so. I'm not feeling it." And he was missing in theosophy the human being, where because without human consciousness there would be no concept of God the way we understand or don't understand the great mystery, right?
Mhm.
And so what Steiner did was take the foundations of theosophy and expand into what he called anthroposophy. Anthropos meaning
Oh.
human,
Yeah.
Sophia meaning wisdom, putting the human being at the center of the divine picture, right?
Okay.
So we've all seen pictures of Christ on the cross, right, with the arms outstretched. That's not only he's tacked to the cross, but it's a gesture
Mhm.
of open armed, right? So the Christ, not Jesus the man, but the Christ consciousness that represents the human in the divine, right? Steiner didn't put on a cross. The vision was that he had one arm up. I don't know if you can see, one arm up and one arm down. And up here was this Luciferian figure, not like Satan, but
Mhm.
Lucifer, the angel of light,
Oh.
right? And what it represented were the temptations that human beings experience from the world of sensuality, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. All those things that make you feel light. I think of that figure as Marilyn Monroe. Down here in the mineral world, right? So that's up in the world of light and clouds and sexiness, right? Down here, rooted in the earth, in the mineral world, is um, is a different force that pulls at us as human beings, a different temptation, and that's technology. That's computers. That's AI. That's machine guns. That's transportation, airplanes, trains,
I was
cars.
gonna say is my view of technology includes all tools like
Right,
we've ever had, right? So when you say technology, people automatically think like digital machine technology, like
right.
computers, etc.
No,
I expand that and go, no, our first
the
technology was
wheel. It was people banging two rocks together to break a
yeah,
nut.
fire
Speaking of nuts,
and nut breakers,
nut breakers,
nut
right? Those were the
breakers,
first. you know, making those flint knives and spears and things like
Yeah.
that. All
When
of
you had
those
to,
things are
like I said, fire, I think you had I think that was our first one because I think, to oh, and here we go. We got peeps in the house. Hi, Lori.
hey, Lori.
Thank you for coming by.
So all of those things that we're mentioning, right, that were tools that have been tools since the beginning of what we understand humanity to be, right? Human technology, thank you.
Mhm.
Those are of the mineral world, the mineral realm. They're not of the out here, right?
Okay.
And I kind of cast Margaret Hamilton as the Wicked Witch of the West in that role. There's this kind of rapid fire, kind of, darkness. And these two things pull at us as human beings, these temptational
Yeah.
forces, right? We have the sensual world and we have the technological world pulling at us, tempting us to become distracted from our very humanity. And this gesture of putting one hand open out, holding that Marilyn Monroe at bay, and the other one putting your hand out, holding Margaret Hamilton at bay,
Uh-huh.
is this gesture putting the human as a powerful figure. They're not in control of us. We are in control of them and how they
Ah,
affect us. It's a beautiful gesture. It's a powerful gesture. And he was talking about all this. This is just literally scraping the surface of
yeah.
anthroposophy, but he hadn't called it anthroposophy. He was just working with these visions. He didn't feel like they were coming from him. They were coming through him. He was like channeling it. And he met an actress who was playing Joan of Arc. And they met after the show and they were having this deep philosophical conversation because I think she was familiar with Theosophical Society and all of that. And he was describing something similar to what I was talking about just now. And she said, "Can you take these characters and put them on a stage in a play for people to see and understand and visualize? Because I think you're onto something, but without, our modern audiences, and this is again late 19th century, we can't conceive these things the way you do. So put them on stage." Like Stacy,
Yeah,
you're
what's
always
the story?
saying, "I see a play in this," right? That's kind
I
of
believe
maybe
I've
you're
said that a couple
reincarnated,
times this morning. Yes.
right? And so he did, but these were epic. They were 7 hours in length,
Oh my
and they
God.
were operatic in scale, giant sets like we used to see Bugs Bunny and Kill the Wabbit, and right, all these giant sets and effects and things like that, and dancers who were performing eurythmy, which is sound interpreted through movement. It was very, very complex.
I'm
And
hoping with a couple of intermissions.
yeah, I'm sure, but they weren't for the public. They weren't for the
Yeah.
public. There were people who were on their own sort of spiritual journey.
It's like
That's why I'm
spiritual theater.
that's why I'm talking about it, because
Yeah.
the theme of this show today
Of the lessons.
is really about that. And out of anthroposophy, and these things were wildly popular because everyone was seeking at that time. That's why all these mystic societies came about. There was something
Right.
shifting. As I must say, there's something shifting again. We're
Oh,
part of this is
yes.
part of a cycle, right? That we're
Yep.
experiencing. And people are looking for their spiritual root, their spiritual anchor.
Hmm.
And this did it. So they performed these things for students of anthroposophy. It wasn't promoted for the general public. Very
Uh-huh.
fascinating. So out of anthroposophy and out of this sort of study of the human journey came biodynamic farming, which is what we call organic today. That came out of anthroposophy. People don't know this. Um, Medicine techniques, anti-cancer treatments. Have you heard of the Weleda brand of like skincare and
Mm-mm.
lip balm? And you can
I
usually
don't,
get
I don't, I don't, I don't
people who
trace.
go to natural food
I
stores
don't
or
trace
co-op.
in the skincare world on the fancy stuff
ever.
or the natural stuff.
But
Soap
cosmetics
water.
and skincare came out of this movement and this educational movement
So
called
then, yeah, so the
Waldorf education. This is a long way to get to the
yeah,
Waldorf.
no, I knew you were getting there.
But there was a guy in Stuttgart, Germany. Now it's 1919. And he was the owner and manager of the Waldorf Astoria cigarette factory in Stuttgart in 1919. They made the brand cigarettes for the hotel in New York.
Okay.
And
I didn't
he
know the
was
hotel had
looking,
its own cigarettes.
oh, honey, the
Yeah.
Waldorf, you kidding? Right? So, ask Aunt Ruth about that.
I will next time I
She was
talk to her.
there.
Have you talked to
She
her?
was,
What is she? She's been. I
where is
don't know
she?
what she's been doing, and I'm not sure if I want to know.
I know you probably don't. But she was, she originally, she was the original Waldorf Astoria cigarette girl. I don't know if you
That's
knew
true.
that.
I
Okay,
think I
right?
heard her tell that story one time.
Oh, so he was looking at the employees that he had that were the factory workers, but also the white collar workers. And he noticed sociologically that their children were being educated differently by virtue of whether their parents were blue collar or white collar.
Mm.
And he felt that that was a travesty because isn't every child born with the same potential? Why would you educate them differently based on their parents' career track and socioeconomic status? So he was not an educator. He was a businessman. He didn't know what to do about it, but he heard Steiner give a lecture that came through Stuttgart. And he was talking about how he felt that one of the greatest detriments of education was that there was a whole lot of putting into the head, all this information, but there was very little drawing out of what's already in there. And if you go back to the Latin root of the word education, educato, it actually means to lead out of or to draw out of, like water from a well.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It's not the opposite of that, which is intrudo, to thrust into a whole lot of information into the head. Intrudo shares the word with intrusive.
The U.S. education is intrudo.
Is totally intrudo. But it wasn't just it wasn't totally American education, but it was world education that came about at the time of the first industrial revolution, right, in the late 1800s, to get children out of nature, off of farms, and into factories. Now it's not factories so much because everything's robotics, but now it's corporations. It's training children to be drones, to sit in a cubicle, often amongst hundreds of other cubicles populated with people that they know nothing about.
And now it's time for the next progressive era.
It is. We're in it. We're in it. We're all feeling that shift.
We are so in the 20s again.
Truly. And this guy, Emil Molt, invited Steiner to create a school for the children of his employees that followed this philosophy that children belong in nature, to learn that they're part of nature, not separate from it, and to tap into those cycles of nature within themselves that they're a part of. And so he developed this system that came about at about the same time as Montessori for many of the same reasons. The difference between Waldorf and Montessori, for those who are looking, and there are wonderful, Jessica, we've talked about this, there are wonderful homeschooling programs that are Waldorf based, that are Montessori based. You can blend them. You can make your own.
Oh,
mix.
I bet it would be a heck of a blend.
It'd be amazing. Oh. The thing about Montessori is that it's very focused on the gifts that the child has. If you have a proclivity to math, for instance, you're focused on math, you're doing math, right?
And it's more educational,
academic,
bringing it out of them.
That's right. And Waldorf is a much more socialized education where they don't even teach reading as a subject until second grade. Why? Because not every kid is ready to read by first grade. We're forcing kids to read in nursery school now. Not every kid is ready. And what that does in the long term, the ripple effect of that is disastrous, right? But if you let these children find it on their own and then introduce it at a time when most kids are likely to be ready to read, then they're like the greyhound at the gate. They can't wait. They're salivating. They pile the books up on the sofa and they become voracious readers. So to allow their childhood to unfold in an organic way, that
Allow life to unfold
there are no,
organically instead
I
of
know.
forced from other sources.
Why it's such a secret, I have no idea. But no, I have it. I have an idea.
I haven't. My thought is, I'm not sure if, on the whole, as far as not just sociologically, but like planetary sociological,
Yeah, it is.
we had to get to the point where we had the ability to be in the United States and Spain and both being on Show Me Your Nuts, as
Right.
we are now,
Right.
so that we could share culturally everything, so that then we could really unfold together, as opposed to clash with differences because we weren't able to be in the same spaces and share
Right.
things.
And to
We weren't able to
assume,
share a feast, like you were talking about
assume,
Cameron's feast.
yeah, it's about assuming the differences, right?
Mhm.
And putting your focus there
Or assuming
rather,
things about the differences.
right. And rather than focusing on the common threads and weaving whole cloth out of those common threads. That's what I'm about in everything that I do.
Well,
It's
see,
really about,
weaving the cloth out of the common threads, but throwing in those differences as the golden threads going the other ways, and the
oh, it's
sparkling
all in there.
differences.
It's all in
Right.
there. It's not forsaking any
Right,
threads.
and I mean, when I say common being the commonalities
That's
versus
the strength. That's the strength of the
that's the
weave,
strength, and then
right?
the beauty,
The
the
depth and the
strength is
texture and
the
the color and
commonalities, the beauty
is
is the
it's the differences.
diversity.
Yeah, and they
I'll
don't
tell
have
you,
to be, they don't
that
have to be
speaks
mutually exclusive.
yeah, that speaks so much to this, like, this group of women that I led this group last night.
Mhm.
8 9 women, well, and there were 2 groups in the bar that we were in, both for this Real Roots, um, uh, I don't even know what to call it, um, and my group had 9 of us all together,
Yeah.
and we were all over 45. The other group apparently were like 35 to 45ers. So
Mhm.
we were the adult table, they were the kids table, or we might have been acting like the kids table, I'm not sure. Um,
Yeah, probably.
and but that we all walked in and didn't know each other. And
Right.
then for me, the magic was being able to use the skills I have as far as being a group facilitator for 30 years.
Yeah.
The magic, though, that was really cool was I didn't have to be a therapist or a coach.
Yeah.
All I had to be was a facilitator, and nothing precluded me from being a member of the group at the same time. So
Right.
I had the freedom to be Stacy,
Love
the
that.
Squirrel Wrangler, at the same time as these other women. So I got to know people too. I wasn't in any kind of there wasn't a power diversity. I just happened to be the one who was doing I had some responsibilities for sure. I
Sure.
needed to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure
yeah.
everyone was included. I made to make sure everyone was participating and felt comfortable, and tried to facilitate different discussions and bring us all together. But it was just so fun. And I don't, well, as the virtual hermit that you are, I don't leave the house for much.
I don't
I
have
leave
to.
with family to go do family things.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, but to go by myself and go somewhere and do something, or even to do things with friends outside of my family a lot,
Right.
I
Right.
don't do, and not because I don't want to. I spend a lot of time in spaces like you and I are in right now
Yeah.
with friends all over the world,
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
physically to do it. And so for me, it was also like I was pushing myself to, like, hey, you need to get your butt out of the house once in a while, and this is one way to do it, you know. And it was just a really cool night. Now I'm waiting to find out if enough of us choose to continue in the process,
Yeah.
we're gonna have 7 weeks of this. And
Fun.
each week is different. Like one of the weeks is a book night. I have no idea what they mean by book night. I don't know. Are we going to do book club or bring books we like or talk about
Mm,
books, or
yeah,
I
yeah.
have no idea. But we were
Right,
joking because one of the gals is an ESL teacher that teaches English and teaches people to read. So we're
yeah.
like, okay, you're in charge of book night, whatever it ends up being.
Love it. Love it. It's improv.
I love that whole, like, it was an emergence. It
Yeah,
was 9 people walked in, didn't know each other, and we had this thing that emerged. And
that's
I
it.
like that it's like that, allowing children to emerge that way, allowing our society. I think finally we're at a place where we're letting ourselves emerge as the diverse and common humans we are, both,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. And seeing that everywhere surrounded by, these beautiful, even if you're in an urban environment, right? If the
Mhm.
school, if the Waldorf school's in an urban, which ours was, they would go out in the morning, lay down on the pavement, close their eyes, and listen for sounds of nature in the city, right? Things like that. They would bring in, they'd have a nature table in the corner of the room, right? Which I still do in my house. It's like a shrine. You find a beautiful leaf in the autumn, or you find a stone. You know how kids are always picking up shit,
Oh, yeah.
and a stick, or a shiny stone, anything. And you put it on your nature table. You bring nature
Yeah.
into your home. You take nature out of your home. So even if you are more of a hermit, right, you're still
Yeah.
interacting with the natural world. It's in my house is full of rocks. It's full of, I can show you, look at my, I mean, I've got
That's raw.
piles of wood and stone and all of this, flowers and branches with leaves all throughout my house, right? And it's to start that in the foundation years of a child's life. My
Absolutely.
grandmother used to say, honey, raising kids is like building a house. It's all about the foundation. If your
Mhm.
foundation is weak, the house is doomed to collapse in on itself at some point.
Absolutely. And you know what? But well, before I get there, I wanna point out what Ollie's got here of nature
Yeah.
being
Hi,
pulled
Oli.
from nature for sure. Ollie and Lori have been over here in the chat, just chit chat back and forth about us, and I love it. Um,
I don't see it, but
that foundational thing, I think
yeah.
one of the important pieces, I think sometimes we think that something's foundational and that it's going to last forever,
Yeah.
and some of it, because it's built maybe on one pole or another of thought. When I say, so like
Yeah.
black or white being pole or thought, male or female. And so this is stemming from a discussion kind of from this morning of patriarchy versus matriarchy.
Right. Right.
We've had for literally 2000 years now foundations and various levels in the 2000 years, in the 250 years in this country
Yep.
of patriarchal based
Oh, yeah.
foundation.
Oh,
And we thought it was solid. And I'm
yeah.
not going to say that it wasn't solid in some ways.
It wasn't.
You know, there was solidity in some ways, but I think some of that, to me, some of that solidity's been in the last was in a pocket of time where there was a ability to actually work together on the things and have
Yeah.
matriarchy, patriarchy, older, younger, all the things work together. It was like that was kind of our first visual of, I think, what's next.
Yeah.
Because what we've had in the last 2000 years was not on solid ground. What has
No,
been in the last 250 years in this country was not on solid ground, and we're finding out why. We're finding out that it's not solid,
that's right.
which is why we're seeing it explode and crumble and not be what we thought it was.
Right.
And that part's challenging. It challenges your inner being. It challenges, hey, this is what I thought I knew. Um, and it's unsettling, and I think to saying, lessons from a journey, and when we're in here talking about mental wellness,
Yes.
it all of the things that are going on right now are challenging our mental wellness, not because not just because it's stressful,
Right.
but because what we thought was real is
It's
crumbling.
alien.
It's not.
It's alien.
Yeah. And that the reason they're saying, oh, it's happening so fast. Well, it's happening fast because we're waking up and figuring out that there was an illusion going on.
And that's been every generation, and the introduction of new technologies. You think about going from horse and buggy to the
there's
automobile.
also a larger, there's multiple patterns here. There's the generational.
Yeah.
There's a 250-year-old pattern in the US.
Yeah.
And there is a 2000, it's actually 2600-year-old pattern from what I understand. And what's happening is right now, we're getting ready to go in. So that once I realized that the crumbling actually is not a bad thing, it's more like the phoenix.
Yes.
We got to burn all the stuff down, but it doesn't mean we have to kill each other or burn ourselves down in the process, because what it means is we're going to have the possibility of building a foundation based on realizations.
That's right.
Of the shit that wasn't working.
And all the foundation isn't completely rotten. That's the thing.
No, it's not.
The house is not rotten.
Still, you
can go back in and reinforce and rebuild and fill in and patch and refit.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of resources, a lot of time. Every challenge brings with it opportunity, right?
Think about those little buildings. So like you were showing us some pictures this morning of some ruins, right?
Yes.
Think about little villages in older places, and any place that you have people reclaiming barnwood in the United States.
Right.
When you reclaim whatever's already built and use that to build something in the next iteration of things. And I think that's what we're doing.
Right, because the house
in a large way, not just a tiny way at the moment.
The house is built on a shaky foundation, right? And we see the collapse. We've seen it in civilizations.
The floor falls in,
everything crumbles, right? But if the foundation is strong, the house can burn to the ground and you can build it up again, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really about rebuilding the foundations.
I was going to say, I think even if the foundation is not incredibly strong, but it's, there's pieces of it that are strength. We can still use the salvageable stones, those heavy, things like Stonehenge.
Yes.
We can reuse things and build this next.
Upscale them.
And upscale. Can you imagine?
Flip the script. You know me long enough to know now I am a script flipper.
You're a script writer and a scripter flipper.
And a script flipper. And, going back to ancient times, since ancient times, we've always associated the sun with the masculine and the moon with the feminine, right? This is across culture. This is across humanity. Bye. Thank you. This is great. This is so much fun. I had this thought, what if we've been taught the wrong thing? What if the sun is the feminine and the moon is the masculine? What if? Let's just sit with that thought for a moment. The sun is life-giving the way the feminine is life-giving. The sun is brilliant and beautiful, and it warms us, and it feeds us, and it nurses and nurtures us, right? Holy. The moon is reflective. The moon doesn't turn. What you see is what you get. The sun is always moving, and it's always got these different, patterns and shapes and, transforming. The moon does not transform. Nope. And I think that in the masculine side of myself, I see that is what men have done really well, is that what we say is basically what we mean. What you see is what you get. It's like Dr. Maya Angelou used to say, when people show you who they are, believe them. Women, generally, the feminine is changeable and is allowed to be. Men are not culturally allowed to be changeable, emotional, fiery.
Well, right? And so I wonder, not just flip the script, but what if we're both? What
We
if
are.
it's
One
both?
can't be there without the other.
So what
That's the
what if
whole
the
point.
sun is both and so is the moon?
Yeah.
And we know for sure, and we say Mother Earth even.
Yeah.
Like the Earth is I do, but the Earth has feminine and masculine qualities too,
If we see
and we
it,
need to honor and see.
yes.
I think one big lesson is of what we're going through right now is the challenge of the traditional patriarchal masculine
Yeah.
to remember and see and accept the divine feminine,
And the
and for
divine,
the
yeah,
for the for us to find a way to have both, which in indigenous cultures we had it figured out then, and then we flipped
right.
and we built this patriarchal thing. And I think now it's time to like either the flip back to see the strengths, almost to do a SWOT analysis on
Yes.
both,
Yeah,
right?
but it
There's
doesn't
strengths,
have to be
weaknesses,
one or the
opportunities.
other. It doesn't have to be
Yeah,
either or.
no,
It's two, we look at one side of a coin or the other, but we forget to recognize that it's one coin. That it's
no.
one
We
coin.
think it's like two coins. It's like, no, it's one coin.
Two sides of the coin, but we're focused on the sides, right? Of
Yeah,
course, the sun is masculine and feminine. Of
yeah.
course, the moon and the earth are masculine and feminine, as are we, right? And we're made of all the same stuff as the sun and the moon and the earth and every other star and planet and comet and everything else in the universe. We're made of all the same stuff. So we carry that same
We're back to what Cameron was talking about with
wholeness.
the stars coming out of his.
That's it. We are the stars coming out of our own crowns. And for millions of years, mirrors did not exist. We relied on the eyes of other humans to reflect back, even before we had language, to reflect back who
Oh,
we are.
there we go. Hermie with the mic drop at the end of the show.
Oh, it's the end of the show.
Well, it's we're coming up close. We're coming
Okay.
up close. I think that, I mean,
Um,
that one's like that to me, like that we
that's
relied
the
on
whole,
others as mirrors,
that's right.
and we never actually lost that. We still have the ability, we have the innate ability to
Innate.
mirror each other.
Yes. And you know what I found, Stacy? That we talked about the challenges. The challenge of getting scraped from the walls of the temple of
Okay,
faith.
here we go. Here we go. Let's wrap
Here's
that.
the full circle moment.
Yes.
The challenge was actually the greatest gift, because as long as you've known me, you know I'm a one-on-one human to human connection person.
Oh yeah.
The freedom that I have found to not have to chase after and outwit the algorithms, to wonder if my
Oh,
content is being seen or blocked, to let the algorithm decide who I have this conversation with and who's going to see it and who's going to respond and how
who
many
gives
likes
an
and shares.
algorithm?
Exactly. Now I'm occupying spaces like Ripley, like Blue
Okay.
Sky, Mastodon, Substack, that are not run by algorithms. I now am, it's being revealed. It's like the veil has been lifted, that now I am
Oh,
fully realized. This is the big lesson of the day. I have fully realized who I actually am, and more time and space has been created for me to be that, because I'm not chasing algorithms down and trying to outwit them and
and
interact
you're
and
not
engage.
being weighed down by the damn things either.
No. And you know what? All those memories, all those photos and videos, guess where they live? They live right here. They live in me and through me.
Yeah.
They are Cameron. They are me. We're one and the same. It's what I call the soul womb.
I'm still going to say how blessed I feel to have been able to visualize that video of him,
Yeah. Yeah.
because just I am just so glad that I was able to catch that when I did,
Yeah.
which is also speaks to the fleeting
Yeah,
that
it's
I
very
was able to
zen.
capture of understanding him, and
Very zen.
therefore, like, understanding that's, his life may have been a blip in the universe in the sense of the timetables we're talking about, the life that I observed that little video of,
Yeah, it was a moment.
but it captured the entirety and great, like, wide expansiveness
Yes.
that he actually still is,
Still is. And that
right?
we have access to. We all have access
Yeah,
to that. Not just in Cameron through me, but
absolutely.
also anyone that we miss who's long
Anybody that's here,
distance, anyone who's here who's on another
look at,
country or another part of the world.
like our friend
Supernova.
Ollie, who's, talking about
Yeah.
supernovas now, bringing us the always bringing us the good words in the chat for sure.
Yes.
I can't even keep up with all of the love the Ollie
The
um
Oleisms.
Ollieisms in the chats. I have adored HC having you back, having you on as my special surprise guest that I
Thank
had no
you.
idea I was going to have.
It was impromptu. Total
It was
improv. Loved
very
it.
which, hello, very I'm not an actor. I don't play one on TV.
All the world's a stage.
I do not have that as like as a gift. However, I enjoy improv in all of the things I do.
Yes.
Impromptu improv
Yeah.
things. I have learned to embrace them. And
Good.
so to be able to, I literally asked you about being on the show. I think it was 18 minutes
Before.
before the show
Yeah.
today.
And I happen rare moment that I actually had the time
And
to do it.
and this was such an awesome lessons from the journey of change that I didn't even expect. And had I gone with my original whatever it was going to be,
Yeah.
we would not have been able to share this magical hour and the lessons and the things that the things we've been able to talk deep about today. And I think that in and of itself is a lesson
Yes.
to, when life isn't going how you expect it to go or want it to go or planned it to go, maybe it's what the universe had planned for you all along.
Yep.
And maybe it will turn out amazing if you let it.
If it was meant to be otherwise, it would be. Now what? That's going to be the name of my memoir someday. Now what?
You guys
Because
heard it. You guys heard it here first. Now what?
now what? Because
Okay, I was here. Now what?
if we were meant to be in a different moment, having a different conversation with somebody else, we would be. And
Right.
that goes for every moment.
Every moment.
Whether you're
everything.
suffering or faced with a major life challenge, this is where you are. Wherever you go, there you are. Right? Now what? If it was meant to be otherwise, it would be. Simple truth. Nobody can argue that.
Which
Now
means we
what?
also all have choice.
100%. We hold
Every
all the
moment.
cards. We hold
We
all the
hold
cards.
all the cards.
Yeah.
We are creating the game.
Yes.
We are playing the game. We are creating the game. We are the game.
Yep.
And though everything is an illusion, it also is our own creations.
Yeah.
Which means we can't, if we created what's here, we can create what's next.
Thank you for creating me, Stacy Braiuca.
I didn't create you. You created you, dude.
No, you created this moment by
I
inviting
created
me
us
into
being
it.
here today. Yes,
Yes.
apparently I created that, and I'll take credit for that.
I'm just saying, thank you. Gratitude.
Thank you for allowing me to create that in such an improv way. That, I mean, when I woke up this morning, that was not on my bingo card, but it's been one of the best moments of my day.
I'm going to leave you with a quote. It's from a book that became a play that became a world-renowned musical called Mame. Not Mame like I'm going to maim you, but Mame as in Auntie Mame.
Okay.
And Auntie Mame says, life is a banquet, and most poor sons of bitches are starving to death.
I love that.
Another mic drop.
Oh, that one's probably on a shirt somewhere, I imagine.
It needs to be. I am actually going to be opening the Virtual Hermit merch store, and it's going to be on there as a quote. Please. With a lot of my grandmother quotes. Honey, if you're bored, you're boring is going to be another coffee mug.
I like the life is a banquet, and most sons of bitches are starving.
That's ancient wisdom.
And it, I wonder, and they're choosing to starve.
Yes, because the banquet is all laid out before them.
And they're choosing to starve, and they don't even know it.
They don't even know it.
Because if they knew it, they would eat.
Yeah.
If they knew it, they would eat. I hope everyone stays fulfilled.
Yes.
And excited.
In mind and belly.
Take what comes to you today, because you never know what it'll be. I'm going to try and play the videos to take us out the right way today. Since they're not playing on my screen, maybe you can give me some hand signs in the green room to let me know that they're playing, that you can see them. But I want to thank you again for being there for this morning. Apparently, we were supposed to do this today.
And the timing is perfect. I have got a client right now. So this is like great. So perfect.
I've loved this. And I'm going to redo the show description so people know who you are and where to find you.
Oh, great. Thank you.
And thank you for helping me with lessons from our journeys this morning. And show me your nuts.
More to come.
Thank you for showing me your nuts, Henry Cameron.
More to come. More to come.
I'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this nutty adventure. Remember, personal growth and wellness are journeys best taken together. Keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to show me your nuts next time.